and I'm totally overjoyed. It's an honor.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm very excited to have you. So firstly, I think it would be great if you could talk to us about the importance of creating the right kind of environment for entrepreneurship and small businesses, and how events like these can contribute to that.
So the point that you're making is that you've got to have an ecosystem that is both business friendly, but also looks at how do you enhance inclusion, particularly of those who have not previously been included in the value chain of enterprises. So I think what GSEC does is it collaborates and is very strong on partnerships. And you'll note all the different partners and all the enterprise support development programs that different entities are doing. But the problem is when it's disjointed and there's no collaboration, you actually minimize the multiplier effect. So I think there are various things that are done here. So there's a discussion around policy. You'll have ministerial sessions and discussions around what policy tools have they had, what are the regulations and the bills that they've put in place. I think the entrepreneurs as well are a very important aspect. Looking at the different breakaway rooms, looking at what is the impact of different policy tools continentally and even at a domestic level. And I think that they also look at the entrepreneurial ability, capability, competence. And I think that's very critical because a business cannot operate except for the entrepreneurs. So the exhibition that showcases the different type of things that people are doing and the different types of businesses and the support that they need to even get here. So many of the businesses may not be as established as the bigger banks and the bigger entities that are partners here. And I think that they support some of these type of smaller and micro enterprises to come to this type of environment, showcase what they do, and potentially get new markets, new access, new opportunities. So I think that GSEC 24, the Global Entrepreneurship Congress, is very pivotal in looking at what is the global discussion happening around policy, what are the new trends, and what can be done to enable entrepreneurs so that they can actually participate. So I think it's quite substantive what happens here.
And then, in terms of, because this is on a more global scale, right? But there's also entrepreneurs or small business that start up in smaller corners of society.
Yes.
And they might not necessarily have the access to this, but there are certain things that are discussed. There are certain spaces that are created. And what is the importance of getting that information trickled down to people who might not necessarily be able to be here?
So fortunately, I think when you're a collaborator and they have partners here, you've got international partners and you've got domestic partners. I think in South Africa we have the fortunate system to have the likes of CIFA, CEDA, National Empowerment Fund. Those three alone, if we just focus on those three enterprises alone, or rather those three institutions, their mandate is to support enterprise development. They provide financial support, non-financial support, but primarily to the excluded, but also to those who have been in the sector. So I think it's important that they alert people. So funeka bathethe isiXhosa baze ne-programs ebantwini funeka baze kokhith ngesiradio bathethe about what is happening at this type of global entrepreneurship conference in the language, yeah, I understand that people can understand. So if this is Zulu, they must speak about it in isiZulu. In the rural areas, they must speak English where people understand English. They must go and speak isiXhosa where people need isiXhosa, or babuwe isiTswana and isiSotho where they need that. So I'm saying they need to then unpack it in the places where you'll find people who want to enter. So I think there's youth centers, people always, I think faith-based organizations, churches, I think schools. There are a lot of entrepreneurs who are looking for support, but they can't get to places like this. Cape Town International Convention Center is the most high-tier convention center next to the West End. How do I get here? So at least the information and what the opportunities are must get to the people. So I think that a lot of work must be done by those institutions in terms of market information and market readiness.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then just lastly, I just want to find out your overall experience, standout moments of you having attended this gathering.
Well, I'm an academic. So one of the enablers, I work with one of the philanthropic organizations, and I advise them. So sometimes I serve as an advisor to different entities and all of that. One of them then said, "Hey, you need to meet this person. This is a person I usually cite in my papers," and they said, "Hey, he's here. That's him over there." So for me, I think the pivotal moment was meeting him, and he's saying, "Hey, you're an expert in this field. Must collaborate. Let's collaborate. We could potentially look at some of the areas that you do and see what we can do." And particularly because they've launched what they call the African Entrepreneurial Index. So they measure entrepreneurial levels in the different countries, 54 countries. So they want me to use that for, I don't know what it'll lead to, but let's see what God does. So that was exciting.
That's fantastic. It
Yeah.
speaks directly to what the conference does encourage, which is a huge part of it is the collaborative
Absolutely.
Space. That is fantastic. Thank you so much. That is Dr. Nthabiseng Moleko, economist at the Stellenbosch Business School. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You see, that went well. You did so well.
Informative piece.